back. William Wynn, Flycorvair here. Let's talk about some systems that are inside every Corvair flight engine and the crankshaft. Again, referring to the conversion manual, we're going to take a look at specifically three parts today. We're going to look at the crankshaft, we're going to look at the hybrid studs, and then the safety shaft. So let's take a look at the system, how it works together, and these are discussed. The crankshaft is Group 1000. The hybrid studs and the safety shaft itself are discussed in Group 2500 in the manual. So let's take a look at what they're doing in the engine. This is an old Corvair crankshaft set up with a set of hybrid studs right here and the safety shaft, which is concentric to the crankshaft. The hybrid studs are made out of 4340 steel. The safety shaft is 7075 aluminum. Together these work and they hold the fifth bearing in place and also the prop hub. This is part of your direct drive simple system for Corvairs. We've used these over the entire history of working with Corvair motors as flight engines. All Corvair engines that are following my manual will have these components inside. This is a forged factory original Corvair crankshaft that has actually flown in an aircraft. We just brought it out of the shop parts bin for a look-see today so that you can understand the orientation of the components. Originally, in a Corvair, the flywheel was bolted on this end of the crankshaft. So Corvairs have always been driven off the flywheel end of the crankshaft. This 6-bolt pattern right here was the original flywheel pattern, and these are replaced with what we call a hybrid stud, and I'll give you a closer look at that in just a moment. This is the safety shaft, and this is a part that's always been in Corvair flight engines and is a requirement. We have simple descriptions of it, and I'll show you what the part looks like. But this is the orientation. The 6 hybrid studs arranged through the original flywheel bolt holes through around the safety shaft. All of this is into original threaded locations in the crank flange, and the crankshaft as modified is threaded for the safety shaft. Details again in the conversion manual. But as we're sitting here taking a look at the orientation of this in the crankshaft, let's get a look at the individual component itself, the safety shaft. The safety shaft itself is made out of 7075 aerospace grade aluminum. It is threaded on each end. The shorter threads go in the end of the crankshaft. The outer thread is clamped on with the prop hub. The 7075 safety shaft has been a component that we have offered to builders for more than 15 years. Originally, these were made out of steel. They are significantly lighter out of 7075, and 7075 is strong enough that it actually exceeds the strength of steel. But this is the safety shaft itself. As it comes from us, it does have the nut and washer and cotter pin assembly. It is a integral part of every Corvair flight conversion. The hybrid studs are referred to as hybrid because they have 2 different threads on them. This outside thread is 3/8 24. This thread on the crankshaft side is 11/32 24, a General Motors specialty thread from the 1960s. We have these made here in the United States by a very, very reputable fastener manufacturer. These are rolled threads and they are 4340 steel. These are an integral part of every Corvair conversion, and they do hold the prop hub and the fifth bearing in place. Again, to review, with all the components organized together, working from the conversion manual, the hybrid studs are part number 2502, and the safety shaft is part number 2503. This is a review of how the parts go together. Much more detail is offered in the manual, but as a visual look, this gives you the basic layout of it. Thank you very much for watching, and please subscribe.